Imagine being offered a bright red tomato and believing it might kill you. Today, it sits on pizzas, burgers, salads, and pasta. But for centuries, this ordinary fruit carried a dark reputation in parts of Europe. It was admired in gardens, whispered about by doctors, and sometimes called a poison apple. The story begins far from Europe. Wild relatives of the tomato grew along the western side of South America, and the plant was shaped into a food crop in the Americas before Spanish ships crossed the Atlantic. After the Spanish conquest of Mexico, tomatoes entered the great movement of plants, people, and ideas now called the Columbian Exchange. By the middle of the 16th century, the strange new fruit had reached Europe. One of the first detailed European descriptions came from the Italian physician and botanist Pietro Andrea Mattioli in 1544. He wrote about a flattened, divided fruit, green at first and golden when ripe. He connected it to the eggplant and described it being prepared with oil, salt, and pepper. That detail matters. The tomato was not completely forbidden. In parts of Italy and Spain, people were already willing to taste it. But curiosity is not the same as trust. To many Europeans, the plant looked unsettling. Tomatoes belonged to the nightshade family, a large group that included familiar food plants such as eggplants and peppers, but also plants linked with powerful poisons, including deadly nightshade and mandrake. A tomato vine had a sharp smell. Its leaves and stems were not meant for casual eating. Its glossy fruit looked like an unfamiliar cousin of dangerous berries. In a world without modern chemistry, resemblance could feel like proof. A plant that looked related to poison was treated with caution. In gardens across parts of northern Europe, tomatoes were often grown as rare ornaments. Their yellow and red fruits were displayed like treasures from a distant world, more likely to decorate a border than to fill a dinner plate. England shows how uncertain the tomato's place could be. In 1597, the herbalist John Gerard wrote about the plant with clear suspicion, even while noting that people in Spain ate it. His book carried influence, and his warning helped the idea of an unhealthy foreign fruit travel further than the fruit itself. Then came another problem, the famous story of the poison apple. By the 18th century, some wealthy diners reportedly fell ill after meals containing tomatoes. One popular explanation is that acidic tomatoes could draw lead from pewter tableware used by the rich. The tomato was blamed, while the danger may have been sitting beneath it on the plate. Historians treat this explanation carefully because fear of tomatoes had more than one cause. Still, the story captures a larger truth. People often blamed the newest food when they could not see the real source of illness. Slowly, experience defeated fear. Cooks discovered that heat softened the fruit, salt sharpened its flavor, and oil turned it into a rich sauce. In Mediterranean kitchens, tomatoes began to belong beside bread, garlic, herbs, fish, and pasta. The change did not happen in a single dramatic moment. It moved through gardens, markets, kitchens, and family recipes. The tomato also made a strange journey back across the Atlantic. In the early American colonies, it was still often treated as an ornamental plant, especially in the North. Yet by the early 19th century, figures such as Thomas Jefferson were growing tomatoes at Monticello in Virginia. Farmers and home cooks kept proving the same simple fact. The fruit was useful, flavorful, and safe when properly grown and prepared. The fear of tomatoes was never a story of one foolish generation suddenly changing its mind. It was a story of distance, unfamiliar plants, old medical beliefs, imperfect science, and the risk people felt when the world placed something new on their table. The tomato did not need to change. People did. And perhaps that is why its history still matters. Sometimes the thing we fear most is only waiting for us to understand it. If you enjoy stories like this, please follow for more hidden history and untold stories from around the world.